Y'all ready to be history?
Get started.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
To the Pro Audio Suite.
These guys are professional. They're motivated.
With Tech to the VO stars. George Whittam, founder of Source Elements. Robert Marshall, international audio engineer. Darren Robbo Robertson. And global voice. Andrew Peters. Thanks to Tribooth. Austrian Audio. Making passion heard. Source Elements. George the Tech Whittam. And Robbo and AP's international demos. To find out more about us, check theproaudiosuite.com.
Line up, ladies!
Here we go.
And welcome to another Pro Audio Suite. Thanks to Tribooth. Don't forget the code TRIPAP200. That will get you $200 off your Tribooth. And Austrian Audio, making passion heard. You're hearing it right now on a CC8. Very nice. Now, there's no processing on my microphone, but a strange thing happened with Robbo the other week.
Well,
what the hell was this story?
It wasn't strange, but it's bizarre. And I'm sort of, having lived in agency land for so long, I've been removed from some of these casting websites and some of the strange requests that seem to come through. But I was talking to a voiceover talent a couple of weeks ago, and they'd been sent a job request from a client, and they'd been asked to compress an EQ their final delivery. And she was sort of saying to me, I don't know, like, you know, she knew what compression EQ was, but what do they want? And for whatever the reasons were, she wasn't in a position to get that answer. Apparently you can't ask questions back. People out there will set me straight on that. But anyway, my point was, well, you know, effectively, I guess you've got to think about who you're delivering it to and what they might want. Because, you know, I guess if you're processing stuff, I mean, if you're sending it to me, I don't want you to do anything. But if you're sending it to someone who's going to throw it up in a final sort of video without touching it, like a content creator or something, then you probably want to do a bit more. So for me, it begged the question, well, what is processed audio if someone's asking for it? And I guess I've kind of roughly outlined there my thoughts. But George, what do you reckon? I mean, for me, it's sort of like, where's it going? What are you doing with it is the first consideration.
That's extremely dependent on that. Right now, I'm actually working with the VoiceOver Blueprint, and they have a TV affiliate voiceover series they're doing, like a course. And so I'm bundled in with a course to create a TV affiliate preset for the students. So, and the reason that's so important is in that particular segment of promo, which is it's a segment of a segment. You know, it's a niche of a niche, right? Very, very often is the case, there is no audio mixer in post working on the audio, right? So you send in that file, it gets dropped into a timeline in Final Cut or who knows what, and out it goes onto the air because, first of all, speed is the essence because it's always the same day, right? Everything is for tonight's news at 5. Or 6 or 11. So that's one. Two.
Yeah.
It's this just in, literally.
Everything is time sensitive always. And then it's just budgets. You know, they don't have a sound mixer working on these mixes. I didn't know this like from an insider's perspective. I found out through listening to my clients' voiceover, you know, their way they sounded on not commercials, TV affiliate spots. And the first one that pointed it out to me years ago was Randy Thomas. She's like, I'm hearing my voice in this and it's buried. It's not clear. I'm not very easily heard. I'm like, what's going on? Guess what? They're not doing anything to your audio. You're sending them raw audio, which you should be, and it sounds good, but they're not sweetening it at all. So what are we going to do? We're going to make a preset so that you can give them this pre-sweetened audio. They can drop it into the timeline and get the job done, and you still sound crisp, clear, loud, everything that, you know, you'd want it to be. It's a really weird thing. It's like I'm engineering a voiceover into a production where I'm not part of the production.
Not part of the process. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're like predictively processing because you don't even know how it's really going to sit in there, but you just...
Right.
This is the one time when it's excusable to process your voice when your clients aren't responsible enough to do it.
Yes. So this is I would say one of the more extreme cases, right? But there are a lot of cases where the end user is not hiring engineering. They're not hiring an audio production team at all. This is, I'm sure, increasingly the case. So somebody has to do it.
Yeah. And on the other end of the spectrum then, I mean, for me, if you were sending it to an audio engineer, and I actually did a webinar a couple of weeks ago on sort of home studios and stuff, and we touched on processing. But what I was sort of saying in there was, if you are sending it to an engineer and you feel like you need to do something to it for whatever reason, firstly, have a reason for doing that. I mean, if the read's kind of fairly dynamic, then okay, maybe a tiny bit of compression, and we talked about what that might look like. Maybe some EQ changes, but again, just to sweeten it. I mean, for me, the sort of message I tried to leave the viewers with was, it's going to an audio engineer. So if you feel like you have to touch it, you want to leave them in a position where they're actually going, well, I've got a really good starting point now. There's everything's there that I need. I don't have to do my noise reduction. I don't have to, declick or whatever, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, exactly. Deliver it in a nice sort of way in that respect, but don't box them in where you've done so much to it that they're now in this position where they're going, holy shit, how do I get out of this?
It's a team effort. It has to be a team effort. If there's an audio production team involved, you're on their team.
Yeah.
You guys are on a team together. So if the coach says, send it flat, send it flat. If the coach says, it'd be sure helpful if you would do a little something to your audio, and this is what we'd like you to do, then you are part of the team. Now, you're not getting paid to be part of the engineering team, which is a problem. But you are part of a team. And so if that's what they're looking for to get the job done, better or for worse, right or wrong, you got to do what they want and what they expect. Now, you're not going to likely know what to do in that case. And that's why I've been making these presets and stuff for people for a really long time, because I'm just trying to fill in that blank that, depending on the work, some of it's very nuanced, especially commercial work. If you send in a commercial audition and it sounds processed, it's the kiss of death.
Yeah, you'll scare them off.
They just don't want that at all. Totally scare them off, right? So it's a very nuanced thing. But in terms of the genres, they're all different. They all need a different amount. And a lot of it it's subjective, guys. It just is subjective. I don't have a magic sauce for what is the perfect setting for every environment. I'm just going to listen.
And every voice, too.
And every voice. And I'm going to listen and do my best and see, I'll do processing for folks and I'll get feedback like I sound too sibilant or I still have too much mouth noise. And what I'll usually say is, you know what? To you, you do, but to me, the listener, you don't. And so then it's like a really difficult balancing act, because you're like, I know you're hearing those things and I know they're bothering you, but to me, they're subdued enough that I don't want you scrubbing them out of the audio, thereby making it sound less natural and sound more filtered. And now you're going to have more little artifacts that you don't really notice, but a professional does.
And that's the thing, right? Coming back to what we said, sending it to an engineer, I'm not going to care whether there's mouth clicks and sibilants, because that's, a couple of minutes and that's fixed for me. But if you're sending it to someone where there's no processing going on, then sure, maybe that's when you do. So it's more about not just going, I've got to process everything, is sort of, I reckon, the message out of this episode, really.
It's nuanced. It's knowing who you're working with. Who's your client? What do they want? Talk to them. Ask.
Do you ever get asked, AP?
No, I don't. Never have been. Never. But what I can do, if I'm concerned that they're not going to do anything at their end, I will probably just change a mic out.
Yeah. And
I just use like a 41.6.
Something that it's got some cut and
then
some body
normalize it -3 or something, and then shoot it off.
Good plan. But you've also got a great room, that's the thing. And you've also got a cupboard full of microphones that any fucking voiceover artist would fall over themselves for too. So you're in a kind of privileged position.
Another thing you can do, and I think this is definitely something that's going to be done more often by the more experienced, voice actor / producers, is sending a dry and a wet. So if you've never worked with them before ever, and you're concerned, so this I think is a real concern. They may ask you for the file flat or dry, but you send it to them that way, and they go, it's not really doing it, because they don't know that the way it sounds when they want it to sound good is not flat and dry. It's actually processed. So they're just asking for something that they think they're supposed to ask for because other businesses or listings on 125 or whatever said do this, and so they do the same thing. And then but if you send them 2 takes, one wet, one dry, I bet you 90% of the time they'll probably pick the wet file.
So here's an idea. First of all, I mean, like they ask for stuff they don't want all the time. Like, don't read it like an announcer, and then they direct you into sounding like an
Can you put some more emphasis on that word? And can you pause here? And can you do this?
That's right.
Yes.
But what if you send a stereo file with the left side completely dry and the right side way over compressed and maybe over EQ'd? And the idea is that you just dial a blend between, just
like a parallel compressor. Yeah.
And then you're like, a little bit more and a little bit less. This is a really loud spot. I can't get it to cut through anything. Like all the way over to the right side. Like kill it and EQ it. Like, and you could, and then they don't even know. They don't have to know what they're doing other than to just a little bit more left and right.
So George, Robert, sorry. Let me ask you a question, because I know the answer to this, and I'm sure George does too. I want to see how you go.
The answer is no.
What is the one, whether it be what is the one plugin, and I'm not talking brand or anything, but like type of plugin that a voiceover artist should never, ever, ever put on their voice?
A gate.
Thank you.
Yes.
Please.
Especially a hard gate, like an expander. Maybe
It has to be
if you're
done
good at
very
setting
subtle.
it.
Yeah. If anybody knows you're using it, you're not using it right.
Everything's got to be. When Robert and I mix sessions, everything's subtle. You know, I don't grab handfuls of anything unless I absolutely have to rescue something.
Right.
Everything is done subtly, and so it should be even more subtle when you're talking about the raw ingredients.
Yeah.
I did a session last Friday.
You do so many
And,
sessions, you can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. And it was nothing to do with processing. Well, kind of in a funny way. But they showed me, they wanted to do a playback of the film they'd shot, and it's a 30-second spot. So they had a guide track on there, a guide read, because we were sort of like, I think this script is too long. Anyway, they went, no, we'll show you the video, 30-second spot. So it starts off. By the time it gets to the middle, they have time compressed the guide read, right? So
How the fuck?
but it's never going to fit,
You
man, because you
cheated.
just time compressed the guide read. How do you think this is going to work? So anyway, so we're rewriting the script as we go, and they've gone, okay, now there's also a sonic at the end. How long's a sonic? 2.5 seconds. Okay, so we've got to get this at 27. So we've
Holy
already gone at 38.
shit.
So now we're trying to
Holy
get this
cow.
thing down to 27. So we're chop. Anyway, they said, do you think you can get this at 27? I said, yeah, I think I can. Let's give it a go. So we do it. Bang. By the time they de-breath, 27 seconds. They're going, okay, now can we put more emphasis on this and this? You're going, the reason this is 27 seconds is because we can't do that. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
So,
that
yeah.
stuff never ends.
And that's
Yeah,
what you're
that
dealing
never
with.
Who time compresses their guide track?
Yeah.
Seriously.
If you time compress the guide track, you've just
Quite
you've just
obviously, the
told
script's
yourself
too
the
long.
script's too
Yeah,
long.
it's pretty obvious.
Before you've even started.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk about the ultimate in processing, go back and listen to the episode where we interviewed Jeff Berlin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you remember
I know
that?
He, does
He had
three,
like
doesn't he?
layers and Pro Tools,
Yeah.
and so he's reading and auxing out or bussing
bunch
out
of stems.
to these different stems, and at the end of that take, he's already got 3 different levels of processing: soft, medium, and
Yeah.
through the wall.
That's
you know,
next.
and-
That's next level.
yeah.
That's
And
really.
could I
That's like panning across the multi-channel.
Yeah.
right. And I could set that up for anybody, any of us could do that, that knows how to do it. But then you have all these extra choices to make. And so you really have to decide what it is then that you're giving them. And then, so I think that's going too far, but again, the Jeff's a pro and he's been doing imaging and everything forever. So he knows what makes sense for him and his workflow. But those are the capabilities of a multi-track DAW that you can't do, let's say, with Twisted Wave. With like a Twisted Wave, you'd have to do the record, edit it the way you like, make a copy, have it dry, right? Have a dry copy. Take that dry copy, run it through a stack, have that be stack X, version 1. Maybe you have a second stack, dry and process the dry file only.
But that's because Twisted Wave is not a DAW. It has no mixer.
Right.
To be a DAW, you have to have a real-time mixer.
Right.
If not, it's not a DAW.
Yeah. Right. Right.
It's a file. It's a file.
And theoretically, I think a DAW also has to be non-destructive, or no?
Yes, I would say so. Yes.
So yeah.
Yep. The other type of processing that before we disappear, we should touch on is noise reduction. Because that's the other one that I get sent files occasionally and I have to go back and say, look, I hope you've still got the original file. Can you send me that? Because
your noise reduction sounds like...
And the thing...
Yeah, it's a form of gating.
So the thing, the point that I made the other night in my webinar was that noise reduction was originally created just to get rid of camera noise out of location sound. That was all it was. It was just a subtle thing to tidy it up, right? So when you think about your noise reduction, that's the way you should think about it. You shouldn't be thinking about it in terms of getting rid of the dog barking next door or the kid crying in the next room or whatever. It's something that's just, again, something subtle. So the obvious place to start is to have a room that's set up right to begin with, and then deal with anything that's left. Don't try and use your plugins to fix problems, I guess is what I'm saying, because that's not what they're designed for.
Here's the thing to caution people with too. You can have something that sounds a bit like garbage, and then you can throw some noise reduction thing on it, so especially some of this new AI noise reduction, and you can go, oh my God, it took care of it completely. But then when you listen to it closely, it's got that synthetic sound, and it's got no top end, and it's And just because you're so impressed on the first blush doesn't mean it is actually.
And then you process on top of that, though. You compress an EQ and everything on top of that, and all of a sudden it's a massive big mess.
Bring it all out. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I watch a YouTube channel, an F1 YouTube channel, and there's one guy, one of the hosts on this thing. He uses a gate because he's always in a hotel room or he's on location somewhere. But he just goes so hard on this thing.
Terrible.
It sounds
and as an engineer,
awful.
there's nothing you can do because it's gone forever. It's just it's like going into your recording and just randomly cutting out bits of audio and then sending it off and going, well, here's my takes.
Yeah, the gate is the ultimate and destructive plugin.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing more destructive than muting out pieces of audio.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, S's and some of those F sounds and stuff like that are easy to fix because you can sort of cut one and sort of. They're easy to cut, but some of the other sounds that these gates are cutting off, you can't replicate them.
It's a pain in the ass, though. It's like don't do that. Gating is all this stuff can be done after the fact. And what makes you think that the audio engineer, except for these people who are running so fast to production or to posting it
/cheap
that they're not processing? Yeah, but realistically, anything you can do. Even the video editor should be able to do better than you, I think. Maybe not.
Well, I saw a post this morning, actually, when I was just going through a feed, and it was a guy, they were talking about microphones, and it was, I can't remember what microphone was. I think they had a U87 up there or something. And it basically says what we said. It's like, it doesn't matter how expensive your microphone is. If your room's shit, it's going to sound shit.
Yeah, well, we've said that a million times. A good mic in a shit room is still going to sound terrible.
And then your mic technique.
Mic technique is the other, absolutely. Yeah. That's right.
So unbelievably important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would argue to say the mic technique is first and the room is second.
Depends how bad the room is, I suppose.
You can get away with a terrible room if your mic is in the, just in the right spot and your delivery is just the right volume, and you can probably get away with a totally garbage room with the right mic technique.
Well, just starting with the premise that you don't have anything unless you have a microphone anyway.
Mm-hmm. Right. True. Yeah, but like when people get a sound check from me, which I do a ton of those, I'll give them an evaluation about mic technique and I'll give them an evaluation on acoustics. And sometimes I'll say, the acoustics are maybe 8 out of 10, but I bet if you got a little closer to the mic, it would sound 9 or 10 out of 10 without touching the acoustics. So if you want a free acoustics upgrade, move your mic. It's one of those weird things. They all interact. So I do that all the time. And then oftentimes they're like, oh, wow, I had no idea. It is far more common for a voice actor to have their mic too far away in their home studio than it is to have it too close, in my experience.
Yeah.
That's just been what I've heard.
See, too close, you can EQ the issues away for the most part. You can get rid of that over
the over proximity, too much boominess.
Yeah, you just don't pop the mic.
Right.
That's all. Get really close and don't pop it, and you can probably EQ the rest of it out.
Yeah.
I think the key if you're in a bad environment is mic technique and gain.
Yeah.
Right.
If you get those two correct, then you're okay.
And the other thing too, I reckon that some people with home studios get carried away with is in a home studio, there's always going to be some issues. Okay, you're never going to get a perfect room in a home environment unless you've got a whisper room or something, right? Unless you're buying something in. If you're just building a booth in a walk-in wardrobe or in a room or something, there's always going to be issues. So you've got to expect that. What you want to do though is just minimalize those. Just work on sort of bringing them down to a point where it's really not an issue within your recording, and then sort of worry about any other processing rather than trying to just fix it all by slapping a bunch of plugins on it, because it doesn't
just
work.
Don't process your voice unless you know your client's not going to do it. Just
time and place. Just think about what you're doing and why you're doing. Why you're doing it is the biggest question. The first question you should ask yourself is, okay, why am I doing it? Well, I'm doing it because there's no one at the other end who's going to do it. Sure, I'm doing it because I want to deliver Robbo something that's easier for him to get a starting place from, and I'm not going to disrupt his workflow. Sure,
I'd say something else for like the more green engineers out there, because you can hear something that you don't like, and you can ask the voiceover talent to change their mic placement to get closer to whatever you are hearing, and you can solve your problem from the input instead of going like, that guy was like far away from the mic, and now I got to fight all this extra
I'm glad you
noise
said that. I really feel like more engineers have to be better at communicating with the talent what they need, instead of just going, get a different mic. I don't like the way that mic sounds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
What's that
it's
mean?
No, it's just, that's vague. It's not actually true in many cases.
It's condescending.
Yeah, it's just like, get a better mic or whatever the dumb thing they say to the talent. It's kind of honestly disrespectful and belittling of the talent.
I agree. And there are engineers out there who have that mentality about voiceover artists too. It's completely unfair and unfounded, especially in this day and age where, Jesus, let's be honest, they're sort of almost on the stage as equals with us in terms of expectations from clients in what they need to do on their end.
Right.
They get paid more than us.
Well, they do.
Yeah.
There's always that. That's right. Maybe we should start saying, look, I'll do the voiceover and the production, and then we can get paid more.
I've been saying that for years.
yeah,
I just
good
didn't
on
have the right soapbox to stand on.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's
you're in
always
the
made me
soapbox
mad
now.
that the actor is expected to throw in production as a part of the cost of doing business. Like if I was the actor invoicing the jobs, I would have a line item for production every single time.
I would have a line item for my booth.
Yeah.
Or the
there you
space
go.
that I'm recording in.
Yeah. Room hire.
I do actually. On my invoices, I have studio, edit, and source connect as one column.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But when I invoice, I always have it at 0. But I just make sure they know.
But if they don't see it, if they don't see it on the invoice, you're not educating the client about what the value is they're actually receiving from you. If you just say voiceover $20,
they don't even need education. The clients know it. The clients put in auditions that say must have your own home studio, blah, blah, blah. They know what they're really saying is we will not pay for an outside studio. If you don't have an in-house studio and you have to go out, you're paying for it yourself. And I've seen some voiceover talent get a gig that they care enough about that they actually foot the bill for an outside studio because their client won't.
This is increasingly common.
Yeah.
Not even beyond that, buying extremely specialized hardware. I have a client who is doing voices, utility voice for, I won't say the show, it would be too specific. I would point fingers, but doing utility voice for an extremely popular animated cartoon series, right? And in order for her to do the job, she has to buy an extremely arcane piece of audio IP equipment, right? So arcane that I had never heard of the brand. I went to all the usual dealers like BSW and everything. Nobody carried it. I went to the website of the company that makes the product, and it found it's in Europe, of course. And there was one U.S. distributor that sells it. And I was like, that's the thing you have to buy as a voice talent to do the job for the thing that they hired you to do? That's just crazy to me. So crazy. It's like, and it's only going to be used for that one thing. It's not like Source Connect, where it's so universal and popular and used in so many productions. It's like one specialty box. I'll tell you offline what it is, Robert. But
Yeah, I'd be
it was
interested to
just,
know
I
too.
was like, what on freaking planet Earth is going on here, you know? And she had to do the same thing. She has a second studio in New York. She got an apartment. She has to do the same thing there. So she had to do it at home. And then this guy came and installed all of it and was really a kind of a jerk about it. And then he added noise problems that I had to come in and fix because he added a ground loop in the process. And then she got an apartment in New York and has to buy that same box again for the apartment in New York, just so she can do these.
And then she can't sell it because no one else wants it.
Right. That's the thing. It's highly boutique. Like I was like, what is this? What is this? So, you know, I know this is a weird example.
But on the other hand, if the gig pays for it, you know, if the gig is a good enough,
well, the
gig
gig's
and
not
she
paying
makes her
for
money
it,
back
but the
on-
gig, she has to make back the money doing the gig.
No, right. But the gig, I'm not saying
Yeah,
the
but
gig
if
pays
she's
for
getting
it,
money
pays
from
well
the gig,
enough.
yeah, it's paying for it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like price of entry. I get. I also understand the flip side of that, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like, come on, like move on. Like, you know, I can't believe it. The other day, some guy was had a session, asked us for an ISDN bridge. I was like, we don't do that anymore. And he's got one client. I was like, where is that one last ISDN line in the world? Like, holy cow. I literally, George, I don't know if I told you this. I threw out a stack of Zephyrs 6 feet tall.
No way.
What?
Like, what am I going to do with them? It costs you money to get rid of them.
That is bonkers.
You could, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers say, you could fly away on your Zephyr.
Yeah. I mean, if you calculate that at the price of their original thing, I threw away like $100,000 worth of Zephyrs.
Wow. Which is now worth nothing, though.
I've got one staring at me as we speak.
They're now worth like not even $20 a piece. That's why I was like,
Somebody told me that she sold one for $50 recently, and I was like,
Who paid $50 for it? What are you going to do with it?
who bought it? I was like, I'd love to know who bought that.
What's going to happen is the price will go up slightly again once there's none left. And then you find it's like the price of like a Mac 2 CI. It was actually like ridiculous, right? You know, like who's going to pay $500 for a Mac 2 CI?
Is that a 30-year-old computer?
About that, yeah. I mean,
But the Mac Classic
go
is
find
worth
one.
thousands and thousands of dollars.
I pulled out my Nintendo
Right.
64 the other week. What's that worth? I've got about a dozen games that go with it. What's that worth these days?
What about my Betamax? What's that worth?
Well, I mean, but those things at some point become worth more because all of a sudden someone's got one tape left and they can't play it back. And like DAT machines are hitting that kind of realm where if you can find a working DAT
I still
machine,
use my portable DAT. I still use it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally true. If it's a medium that's dying, then you really need to have a machine that can play that medium. And those are getting...
And if it's working,
Yeah.
if it's working, you got some money there.
I've got a mini disc.
Have you? Tanae's got a mini disc too. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt bad about tossing these things, but at the same time, it's like, what am I going to do with them? I can't store them in my basement all their life.
Yeah.
Like they just fuck
You can put them under the sofa, so when you get older, you don't have to bend over so much when you stand up.
I was using some of them, like half the thing is I'm trying to get my basement work done, and I was using some of them to keep other more valuable objects off the ground when water came in.
It's like the white trash television stand, which is the old TV that holds up the new TV.
I make use of everything.
We should finish up this episode by saying that I reckon in terms of processing, when in doubt, just don't, is my honest opinion.
Yeah.
or at least capture a copy that's not
or keep a
processed.
clean copy. Yeah.
Always have a dry, unmessed
Yeah,
with
wet and dry.
file, no matter what. Always.
You can always process offline. If you're going to
Oh,
process,
don't process live.
capture
Yes.
it dry,
Yeah.
process the file. Don't corner yourself
Right.
by just
There was a resurgence of front-end processing thanks to the Universal Audio Apollo,
Yeah, right.
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden now
Well, I mean-
normal people that wouldn't normally have a rack of gear have access to every damn. If I have to see another Apollo plug-in chain with a Vox box in it, I'm like, just because you have access to a $4,000 fake piece of gear doesn't mean you default use that plug-in for everything you do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unless you've got a read that's like ridiculously dynamic and you want to put a little bit of compression over it to stop it, distorting into the box, there's no real
But it won't
reason
do
to
that.
process anything.
It won't do that if you're already digital. Like that makes sense if it's an actual analog piece that's going ahead of
Yeah.
your A to D converter. I had this discussion with a friend of mine, and I think it's a generational thing. I grew up initially doing all my recordings to tape. You would over EQ, Robbo, I'm sure you know this. Like, oh, I'm recording to tape. I'm going to over boost the high end EQ going onto tape because I know when it comes back, it's going to come back
lose
a little
some,
bit
yeah.
dull sometimes. So you're kind of doing that predictive thing, or I know I'm going to bounce. And then Pro Tools comes out and it's affordable. And I remember distinctly going, I'm just going preamps right into Pro Tools, and I'm going to do all that stuff afterwards, make like all my decisions later. And that's the way I do everything now. So, I'm talking to some engineers and they're younger than me, and they're now all about like processing everything going down into the computer. And I'm like, why are you doing that?
Right.
It's better. It's this.
Yeah.
But you're cornering yourself. And I understand the idea that one of two things. Either I only have one of these XYZ magic boxes, so I want to process on the way in and get the most use out of it by doing multiple things with it, maybe. Or I'm so good at my decisions on the front that I know I'm going to want all this. And so
Right.
I don't need to slow myself down by doing it later. But I will track in, and while tracking a band, I'll have my processing on the playback, and I'll start dialing in my sound. So I'm saving myself that time already,
Right.
but I'm not cornered.
Right.
And besides a few things like high pass filters, makes sense on the way in because it's going to hit the converter. Maybe a little bit of protection if you're worried about your levels on the clipping, but I don't get it.
No, I don't either.
Converters are so good. Everything is so clean.
Dynamic range is
Do
massive.
it all. Yeah, you can do it all in post and have make all your decisions later.
Yeah. No, it's
Same thing with these Apollo plugins on the
yeah. Front end processing is insidious for voice actors because as soon as you process on the front end, you are now engineering while you're voice acting,
You can't undo it. That's right.
and you can't undo it.
You can't undo
You
it.
just can't. So please, guys, think about it.
Yeah.
Very hard when you say, I want to process all this stuff. I'm like, let's think about what you're doing. If I get people come to me with the Apollo and they're like, can you make me some setups? And I go, listen, what are these for? Well, I just want my auditions to XYZ. And I'm like, that's what we do in post. We'll do that in Audition. We'll do that in Twisted Wave. We'll do that we don't need to do that in the Apollo. So I've way backed off on the amount of processing I do in the Apollo, and it's really now very much just a very sweetening, cleaning thing, or a very specialty delivery. Like someone who's a promo voice and does promo all day, and they have a certain sound they have to achieve. Okay, that's a specialty thing. But other than that,
If you know what you want and you're willing to absolutely commit,
right?
and you know that then fine, you're saving some time possibly.
Yeah, that's a different mentality. Plus, the promo people use headphones and they listen to themselves through the processing. That's a whole nother
But the
conversation.
UA's got that record button. They can listen to themselves through the
It
processing.
has a
They don't
mono,
have to
yeah, it has a
capture it. They
monitor,
do-
yeah.
Yeah.
And
It
nobody
has the
does
monitor.
that.
Yeah.
Almost nobody. I have one client I set that up with ever. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, everyone just puts it in the record mode and they
They just bake it and go on.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Why you want to hear what you sound like when you've been processed.
That's a
I
radio
guess
thing, I think.
if you're playing the microphone and you're playing the compressor and maybe you're that in tune with it.
It's definitely something
not a
that
performer.
some promo people do. They listen. They like hearing the little weird sounds in their voice at the quietest portions of the sound, so that when all that compression really boosts it. But that's the thing. You're printing that.
That's right. You
That's
might
not
want to hear
good.
that, but I don't. That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah,
hear it either. There's
That's
no
why
way.
Angry Audio,
No way.
Angry Audio
No
makes
way.
this headphone amp that does all that crazy ass processing for the headphones.
Yeah, there you go. Well, there you go.
It's
That's the
basically
alternative,
an
isn't it?
Orban. Yeah, it's basically an Orban freaking multi.
in the
Set
monitor.
yourself
monitor
up a
chain.
monitoring chain that has all your processing on it. Exactly.
Yeah, I can understand that if you're a singer, but I don't understand it if you're doing voiceover. I don't get it. I don't know why you want to hear in your headphones something that's different to what you're actually capturing. I want to hear what's going on the tape.
But I guess if you're talking about singers in general, they all want to hear different things too and all that sort of stuff. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
So sometimes with the singer, it's not even so much that they know that they want to do it. Sometimes if you make the singer sound good in their headphones,
can make their
they're more
performance better.
inspired and they perform better.
I agree.
And maybe in
Yeah.
a subtle way, that's the same thing with the
Well, it
talent.
would
If they're
be,
like,
I
oh, I'm
suppose.
sounding so big and
Because if you're
huge
listening to
with
yourself
every time
in
I
your
gain
headphones
up-
and you're going, oh, fuck, I don't sound right, you're not really concentrating on your performance 100%, are you?
No, you're not.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I encourage people to stop doing that. But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
Don't gate
Don't.
whatever you do. That's the biggest don't for me. Don't gate.
Leave the gates at the farm.
Don't get
Well, that was fun. Is it over?
The Pro Audio Suite, with thanks to Tribooth and Austrian Audio. Recorded using Source Connect. Edited by Andrew Peters and mixed by Robbo. Got your own audio issues? Just ask Robbo.com. With tech support from George the Tech Whittam. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and join in the conversation on our Facebook group. To leave a comment, suggest a topic, or just say g'day, drop us a note at our website, proaudiosuite.com.